Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for BoardGameGeek, and I'm here with Alicia Gensch from Liebelad, and you're here to demo the newest, I guess we can now call it a Mysterium family. So Mysterium being the original game, and now Mysterium Park.
That's right. We are so excited to share Mysterium Park with everyone. This is a great complementary game to Mysterium. It's got a quicker play, so we're really excited to share it.
And I think overview and turns of what it's like to play, assuming people haven't played Mysterium before, and then maybe at the end we can talk about what little bits are streamlined or a little bit different between the two versions.
Absolutely. So Mysterium Park takes place in the United States in the 1950s. So you as players are psychic investigators, and you have heard some cool rumors about a fun fair that's come to town. The director has mysteriously disappeared, and you, as you arrive, are overwhelmed with visions and premonitions, with the ghost trying to lead you to who the murderer is. So the gameplay is focused around the game board that you're seeing here, and players take on either the role of the ghost of the director or psychic investigators. So I'll, for now, take care of the ghost parts, and we'll just describe what the players are doing. So to start off, we are going to shuffle the character cards, which are Lincoln to your left. It's the second row. Correct. Yep. So we'll shuffle those, and we'll deal 9 face up along the grid on the game. So these characters are presented to the investigators as suspects in the murder. So the goal of the game is for the investigators to clear the innocence of any of these characters. So it's a little different than Mysterium, where, again, the psychics were there to find suspects. In this game, we are clearing the innocence of the characters. So I can see we also have, on the left side of the board, we have the game round counter. This game is set up into 3 phases. So phase 1, we are going to be guessing as to the character suspects. Phase 2, we're going to be looking at some spooky locations. And in phase 3, the ghost will present sets. So 1 character, 1 location, and we'll be trying to guide the investigators to who the murderer is. So all of our players, let's pretend.
Yeah. 1 second here, just because I do think I want to mention at this point that you still had the primary artist was Xavier Collette, who also did Mysterium, correct?
That is correct.
Oh,
yep.
Wow,
so,
look at that character art. That's amazing. Collette, which...
Yeah, the artwork is gorgeous. So again, that is something that is really similar to Mysterium. These games are very immersive. They really take you into the era. Again, Mysterium Park is occurring in the 1950s. We're seeing that beautiful saturation. We're seeing these gorgeous, mysterious, spooky characters that really bring the fun fair to life. And when we look at the locations, that continues. Everything about this board really makes you feel like you're there. It's very thematic. And yeah, the characters and locations are gorgeous. Perfect. Yes.
All right, back to what we're doing in round 1. Sorry, I just wanted to hop in with that.
Absolutely. No, I think that's something really noteworthy about all of Liebelad's games is they really take the artwork and the feel to the next level. These games really make you feel like you're there. So we have our characters, we have our suspects. Now, what do we do? Well, I'm playing a ghost, and we all know ghosts can't talk. So the ghost is going to draw 7 vision cards. So those are the cards linking to your top. Yep, exactly, 7 vision cards. So these cards are full of symbolism. They are small illustrated scenes. And the ghost is going to distribute those to the investigators to try to guide them to which character they are trying to guess. So an interesting part of this game, again, going back to a difference between Mysterium, the Mysterium game has a ghost screen where all of the suspects and all of the locations and weapons are hidden from view. A difference in this game is the ghost has plot cards. So those are the cards that look like this. Again, beautiful artwork. So Lincoln, if you wouldn't mind just flipping one of those cards over and showing everyone, we're going to see a detailed view of the grid of the characters we're seeing right now. So for example, we are seeing the purple card for the top left. That is the character that the investigator is going to be trying to guess. So the ghost is going to take a look at that character. They're going to say, okay, looks like a fire eater. We're going to look at our vision cards and we're going to try to pick one that is going to guide the psychic to choosing that character. And again, these illustrations are beautiful. Every card is immersive and they're just gorgeous. So for example, we're taking a look at this vision card and we're seeing there's an explosion. So again, fire eater, that's a character, or that's an association that we can really draw these two conclusions. So as the ghost, you can give as many vision cards as you like to each investigator. Generally, for newer players, it's a good idea to do one vision card. You might do two, but anything more than that can be a little confusing. So the ghost gives that vision card to the purple player, and will continue to do that for all the investigators who are playing.
And then drawing back up to full 7 in between, just so they always have 7 to choose from, and then assign another batch and then draw back up to 7. But you're stuck with the ones you had held over from the last assignment, though, unfortunately. So if you got kind of a card that doesn't really help you out, it's just sitting there and it's stuck.
Normally you would be stuck, but we've introduced a really interesting component that will help the ghost out a little with these ticket tokens. So the ghost receives 3 tickets at the beginning of the game and can spend 1 to fully discard their hand and draw 7 new cards. And that is really helpful if you get stuck with something that's maybe not so good.
Right, but they can only do it 3 times, so they have to carefully ration when they want to do that.
Yes, you do need to be a little strategic about that, especially because the game does take place in 6 turns. Can't do it. I mean, if you want to do it right away in the beginning, you might just get stuck with some not so great cards. Yeah, another new component that we're going to be seeing. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's pretend that all the investigators had some cards, but finish your thought.
Another new token that we're going to be seeing in addition to those tickets is the witness token. So to the left of those ticket tokens, you're seeing the IX. The witness is someone who is completely cleared of all charges, someone who is not involved in the crime at all. So corresponding on the plot card, we do see that the witness is in the top right. So that is someone who is absolutely not involved. And that'll come into play in a minute. So all of our psychics have their vision cards. Now it's time to guess. So purple received that interesting vision card that had the explosion. We're going to move the intuition token, so the little globe, onto the top left person, the fire eater. So they're going to say, I'm pretty sure it's this guy, or this gal. And let's say the yellow player decides they are pretty sure that it's the person in the top right. And then the investigators would go on and they would make their guesses. It's noteworthy that investigators can guess the same character. One might be right, one might be wrong.
Both of them might be wrong.
They both might be wrong. That likely does happen. So let's say everyone made their guesses.
And the investigators could be talking with each other this whole time. Like, what do you think of my card? What do you think of my cards? What do you think I should go? If you go there, I can go there. Like, this is a cooperative game, so they can share their opinions, share their cards, like what their cards look like. In the end, though, the purple investigator says, this is my decision. And and they choose where to place their players. So just, as each person gets their cards, though, we still get to share in the wealth. And the ghost just sits and takes it all in with a beautiful poker face.
Exactly. Yeah, it is definitely worth noting that this is a very cooperative game. Placing your vision cards all across the table, really seeing, well, I think this knife is here, so maybe this. This game is all about cooperating. We're all on the same team. We win together, we lose together. So we've made our guesses. The ghost has a chance during the spectral manifestation, I think, technically, ghost term, spectral manifestation mode, is going to let the investigators know if they are correct or not. So, purple player, they're correct. So we're going to remove that character card from the game board and place the innocent token, so the purple circle, on that square. So that tells everyone, the purple token is going to go up where the Roman numeral 1 is. Thanks, Lincoln. So that's telling all the investigators that character has been cleared of charges. We're not going to be guessing on that anymore. Now, for the yellow player, they guessed the the witness token. So that's an interesting new feature of Mysterium Park. The witness token is going to allow all the investigators to be able to pick again. They get a second chance to guess who their suspect is. So yellow player would go first. They get to make their choice, and then all the other players can opt to choose again.
And you would resolve that first, correct? That if someone put their globe on the witness, you'd say, let's do the witness thing first. And then that opens up that shuffling around for everybody else, correct?
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yep, so you would resolve the witness first, and then the ghost would go through and say, correct, incorrect, and then we would move on to the next round.
So in this example, let's just say we would say, hey, yellow player, that's the witness. So we would remove that card, put the big IX down in the center of that spot in the upper right. Yep. And then, hey, yellow, where do you want to go now? And they might take another look at their cards and say, I don't know, I'm going to go guess over here. No one's guessed this one yet.
Exactly. Yep. Good point. So that would conclude the round.
And what happens if we were not successful? Not everyone was where they were supposed to be.
So if we were unsuccessful, we would move the turn counter, so the little Edison bulb on the left side of the board, move that to round 2. And any players who are still on the board, anyone who has not guessed correctly, they will get a second chance to guess. So the ghost, again, we kind of repeat the same process. The ghost will give them a new vision, and they get to guess. Now, it's also worth noting if, for example, the purple player has already guessed correctly, they do not get new visions. They are in an assist role, and we're going to be working together to really solve the yellow player's character card. So again, and then, kind of unlike unlike Mysterium, where if the purple player had resolved their character, they would continue to move on. We are all together. We're staying on phase 1 together, and we don't move on to locations until we solve this puzzle.
Well, let's pretend that we're in round 2, maybe 3, depending on how well we did, and everyone now has guessed correctly. Let's just talk a little bit about what's going to happen as we're moving from guessing on characters to guessing on locations.
Absolutely. So the gameplay is going to be very similar. We're going to have 9 face-up location cards. It's the same type of guessing where the ghost selects their vision cards. distributes it to the psychic investigators. They get a chance to guess, and the rounds continue. So again, phase 2, very similar to phase 1.
I'm going to let Lincoln
phase
put out a couple.
3.
I'm going to let Lincoln put out a couple of those location cards, if nothing else, so we can admire the spectacular artwork once again. And while he's doing that, just to confirm too, that while this process is the same, is there a witness location in that you guarantee you know that that is not part of this murder puzzle and that would get resolved first, and then everyone else has the chance to reshuffle and then figures out if they're right or wrong?
Exactly. Yep. Same as phase 1, phase 2. We would draw a new plot card. So again, the small cards with the spiral on the front. Normally only the ghost would be seeing this, but obviously it's more fun if we can all see it. So in phase 2, we would see the witness token is associated with that enter sign, the ticket taker. So again, let's pretend that the purple player puts their token on that enter location. We would resolve that first when we start guessing. So the ghost would indicate this is the witness. We would remove that card from play, place the witness token on that square. Purple player would get to guess, or would get to move their token to any of the other locations, and then all the other investigators would get a chance to repick.
And that's the point where they would find out if they were right or they're wrong. That always happens. The witness always happens first. And then you discover, I got it. Hooray. Oh, man.
Exactly. Yep. Witness token is always resolved first.
Now, let's say, because this was the also part that I thought was a little bit twisty and a little bit backwards from, if you're very familiar with Mysterium. At the end, once everyone has guessed their spots and the witness one has been removed, what we're left is 3 cards still on the board, and those are actually the ones that we keep. And it was the ones that aren't highlighted on that ghost card, which we can see in this feed. Those are the ones you're keeping. The ones that were guessed are the ones you're throwing away. And I did find that was really interesting that they flipped that around.
Yeah, exactly. That is a big difference between Mysterium and Mysterium Park. They wanted to change the format ever so slightly, again, to keep the game interesting, keep the puzzles new. So again, the investigators are trying to clear the name of the suspect or remove that location from any kind of suspicion. So looking at the plot card, again, our tiny card for the ghost character, like you mentioned, we are seeing the colors, which are where our investigators are trying to guess, or where the ghost is trying to show them. And then there are 3 blank spaces. So at the end of the phase, the ghost character would collect those 3 cards that don't have a color or don't have the witness token and set them aside. Those characters and those locations are still being investigated and could possibly be the scene of the murder.
Well, and that's a good segue to now talk about phase 3. In enough rounds, we've successfully pulled out 3 characters that have not been cleared. We've pulled out 3 locations that have not been cleared. So we have those stashed somewhere on our board. How do we play that final round?
Yes, the final phase is going to look a little different than phase 1 and 2. So Lincoln, if you wouldn't mind clearing the board. So we'll see at the top row, we see those 3 Roman numerals, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to pretend that we put 3 character cards, 3 locations aside based on, again, the plot card. And the character cards are going to go in the middle row. And they can go down at random. They don't need to be in any specific order. Oh, sorry, middle row. Yep, so we want to be able to see those Roman numerals. And then our locations, our 3 locations are going to go below the characters.
And now we have these nice numbered pairs. The number 1 pair,
exactly.
The number 2 pair, the number 3 pair.
So these pairs are indicating who is guilty. Who is it? So the ghost character draws their third and the ghost character draws their third and final plot card. And we're not going to look at any of the colors. We don't care about where the witness token is. What we care about is the Roman numeral number in the top corner, which I think, is that a number 3?
It's a 2.
It's a 2. So the ghost knows that the middle column, that is the guilty party and where the murder took place. So unlike the earlier rounds, the ghost character is going to, the ghost player is going to pick only 2 cards from their vision hand, 1 card associated with the character and 1 card associated with the location, and present those to all the investigators. Again, really cooperative. When we get to this point, it's kind of an all or nothing. We only get 1 guess to decide who we think is the guilty party.
And of course, in those 2 cards, you don't know which one is character and which one is place. It's just, here's 2 cards. Good luck.
Yep. And again, if the ghost character has a bad hand, they can use those ticket tokens to redraw 7 cards and try to get something that's going to be a little bit better.
Which is maybe a reason to, because this is an all or nothing end round, might be the reason to try and hang on to them as long as you can in the hopes that you could spend them very frivolously right at the end.
Exactly. So let's pretend that we have our 2 vision cards. They go out on the board. The investigators get a chance to debate and decide, ooh, well, I think that eye or this color really looks like the ballerina, but ooh, this hat, maybe that's the oh, well, maybe this. So let's pretend that the investigators, we decide that we choose column 2. We choose correctly. So we tell the ghost, this is who we think it is. And we win. Hooray.
Hooray!
And yay, we win! But let's pretend we are unsure or we can't make a decision. If there is some discrepancy between players, you can put it to a vote. And if we can't come up to a consensus, you just debate until you can find one answer. Unfortunately, if the players aren't able to guess correctly, the ghost of the director is going to haunt them for the rest of eternity.
Wah, wah.
Or until you can guess correctly in another game.
Well, and I think we've sort of highlighted it throughout as you've gone, but I would say that, would you describe this? Well, you said it was more of a streamlined version of Mysterium. People that are familiar with it, there's only you would have an item as well, who, a what, and a where. And so this is just the who and the what for this, and also a different theme. But if you already know and love Mysterium, I imagine it's certainly plausible to bring in some of the vision cards from Mysterium, or take this deck and apply it backwards to Mysterium. Granted, maybe the themes won't match 100%, but, I was just thinking like, oh man, there's some cards that I love in original Mysterium that I would love to bring forward into the vision cards on this one. I know the backs wouldn't match, but I think I might just be a big fan of Xavier's artwork is really what it comes down to.
Absolutely. So while Mysterium Park is not an expansion, it is a standalone game. I mean, if there are cards that you love from Mysterium, bring them in, make the game your own. But yeah, absolutely. I think the best way to describe these 2 games and how they stand together is they're complementary games. The core Mysterium is more laid back. It's a longer game. Gameplay usually takes upwards of 45 minutes plus, where Mysterium Park is much quicker. It's fast-paced. It's roughly 30 minutes to play. So theoretically, if you got a group together, you could play multiple games in a night.
Well, let's wrap this up by just telling people when this is going to be available.
Absolutely. Mysterium Park is going to be available at friendly local game stores tomorrow, October 23rd. It's also available on Asmodee's web store. If you are interested, you can always visit Libylood's website for more information or check out our social media to get a closer look at some of the illustrations.
Well, Alicia, thank you so much for giving us a tour of a slightly creepy theme park. This is Mysterium Park, which is being published by Libylood, and thank you again.